Hello, this is a video where I'm going to be talking about my WoodBridge cross-country experience. It was my second year of running WoodBridge. I ran it in 2021 and now in 2022 and had a great experience both times. One of the most fun meets to go to, and I enjoyed a lot. Overall, WoodBridge is a very fun and exciting meet, and there is great energy in the area, and you will see really fast times, and people come from out of state all over the country to race in this race. And this year people came from out of state, I believe probably more than any year before, and it created some great races with some people that are some of the fastest in the nation. I would say that getting to watch WoodBridge over the last 2 years has been just about as good as getting to race it, and it's a fun meet to anybody who's been there. Leading up to my race, I wasn't sure if we were allowed to wear watches or not. I saw a couple people wearing their watches, but I just decided not to, and I would say personally, I do not regret making that decision. I think I raced really well without my watch and didn't really need it afterwards. So for the build up to WoodBridge, I actually wasn't that nervous at a race. I was more confident in my abilities and excited for it. But then it really started setting in like nerves, like maybe like 5 or 10 minutes before the race when we start getting over there towards the line. And once we started doing strides and stuff, I was pretty nervous for the race, as you see everybody who's on the line, like 200 people all trying to go out there and race their fastest race. So when we were all lining up for the race to start, the gunman slowly walks over to his ladder and he lifts the gun up, and then it doesn't fire for the first time, and people were definitely very nervous. A couple people jumped and started to go even though the gun didn't fire. And then we lined it up again, and then the second time the gun fired and we were off. Initially at the start, once the gun went off, I just started sprinting, probably harder than I ever have before at the start of a cross-country race. I knew that I needed to get out, and my strategy was that I wanted to get out and be in like the top 50 of that race, because I knew I want to finish up there. I say it also ended up helping out not having a watch, because I didn't have to start at the line, and once the gun went off I just immediately started sprinting. And this was also the first time I have ever started in the front on my team on the line, which makes a big difference. Just being able to sprint and not have to wait for other people to go first can save the 2 seconds that you need to get out well in a race. If you don't have those 2 seconds and you start in the back, it can hurt your race really bad, because then you get stuck in the back and just have to move up 3 people when they're slowing down. So when we're sprinting up this mad dash, I see a couple of people are still like in front of me, but overall in the area I was almost like the first one out, which was basically the opposite of last year's WoodBridge, because last year in WoodBridge I was in the back row when I started, and I remember getting out and being in second to last for like the first 200 meters until finally I passed people on the first turn. But in this WoodBridge I was able to get out and be in like the top 30, and then I was really just like, heart was pounding that first 100 meters, just full adrenaline, just going. And there's this little bump, or like little kind of tiny hill that we go over, and there's some trees, and just trying to dodge the trees and navigate the first turn. Definitely had a couple people putting their arms out, got a little boxed out on that first turn, but wasn't really anything bad, didn't lose much time or position. I had my teammate come up next to me on the first turn, and I was planning on pretty much sticking around him for the first mile. We could use each other to help each other throughout the race, because I knew we were about gonna be about at the same level. Honestly, for that first 250, 300 meters, I was like almost like, oh my goodness, like this is insane. I didn't even feel like I was like in reality. It just felt like surreal. And then I finally felt like I was like, okay, we're like going once I finally hit the concrete after the first turn. The course wasn't that great in some respects because it was hard to navigate that first mile in the big groups and there were a lot of sharp turns. But I was up in like the top 30 to 40 and I was out of trouble for the most of it and didn't get too bunched up, so I was able to go out hard that first mile. Coming through the first mile, I knew it was going to be pretty fast and I wanted to go out hard, and I ended up going out like 2-3 seconds faster than I even wanted to, which I was totally fine with. And I knew that I just had to hang on to it for the rest of the race. 2 turns after I hit the mile, there was this part of the course where it really started to hit me like, dang, I went out really hard, and I was almost like, ooh, did I go out too hard, because it was uneven ground and it spaced out a bit more, and I was just trying to keep the pace, and I was luckily like able to, and a couple people like caught me, and I kind of went with them for like until we got through that section. There were some parts of the race course where there was little divots, and I was able to get through them well, but people were falling a good amount of the day on those sections of the race course. Mainly for most of the race, what I was focusing on was just beating the guy next to me for the next turn, and just trying to hold position and keep my ground, and just focusing on every turn as it came, and just keeping my stride and trying to focus on form and stuff like that. When I came through the 2 mile in the race, I was just about right where I wanted to hit, and at that point I was also thinking in my mind like, dude, why do I need to wear watches in a race when I could pace this close to what I want to pace without even having a watch, just going by instinct. So like in the future, I probably won't be wearing a watch unless I absolutely need to, just because I'm confident in not having to wear one. And I feel like on a course like that, there was so many turns on WoodBridge that it was more beneficial to just not wear a watch and focus on every turn than look at it and then have someone beat you to the next turn, and then you lose ground that way, and then you lose spots. Overall, I was hurting, like, but not like bad hurting, because it's a very flat course, so there's no hills that really like hurt your legs during the race. So I was able to maintain my speed pretty well. I didn't have a faster third mile than my second mile, but I was still able to hold the pace and keep within like 6 seconds of that second mile and that third mile. I was able to pass some people who were slowing down in the third mile. There was a couple people who went by me, and then I went by them soon after because they realized that they were going a little too fast, I guess. And I passed a good amount of people during that third mile as we were like coming towards the final turn and kick. But really what happens to me and what happens to some other people is there's just other people that are behind you that are coming for you on the kick, and there's not much you could do. So like 3 or 4 people went by me in the last 100 meters, but I don't feel bad about that. And I ended up finishing the race just 4 seconds off of what I wanted to run, which is really good. Like that's just about hitting the goal time in my mind, and it just gave me a lot of confidence that I could go out that fast in a race and hang on to the pace and still run a good time. I ended up medaling in the race, and medals are pretty cool, but for the most part, I don't think of them as anything crazy, because I think of medals more as in races of, oh, you got a medal because you weren't in as fast of a race, As in, if I was in one higher up of a faster race than I was, then I wouldn't have gotten a medal. So it doesn't feel like as much of an accomplishment to get medals. They're just like kind of cool, I guess. That's about all for my WoodBridge experience and my race. It was a really fun day overall, and I really enjoyed racing there. I would say that the course was like, I honestly think it was about even difficulty to last year. Some people think it was harder because there were more turns, but I was able to just focus on the turns and keep accelerating and beating whoever I was with to the next turn. So I thought it was about just as fast as the course, and the overall times of the day say that it was probably about as fast of a course, because the overall times are way faster than last year, and I know a lot more people came from out of state, but still it was a really fast course this year as well as last year. That's all for the video. Enjoy your day.